This week we'll be talking about the challenges of filming your own hunts. You know, to be quite honest, many of you have probably watched our show and thought, I think I could do what they do. But when you add an additional person, a cameraman, when you add an additional piece of equipment, the camera, all the motion involved, the operation of it, plus still trying to operate your actual equipment for hunting or shooting the animal, look, it adds a whole lot of different challenges. So over the years, we've experienced a lot of those and wish to show those to you today. So I hope you're going to enjoy the hunts and the challenges. Let's get to the footage. Fred Bear once advised us to immerse ourselves into the outdoors for a cleansing of the soul. Welcome to the show dedicated to giving you that opportunity and more. We hope you'll meet the Creator who offers a true cleansing of all souls. Abbott Outdoors is proud to present Season 3 of Decision Point Outdoors. This field has been known to produce some really good deer.
I was wondering that. I've been doing this 21 years.
But we got the end results.
So this has been a good year. So
Right behind this one tree. Yep.
On this episode, let's get started with probably what is the greatest new challenge to filming in the outdoor industry, and that's operate one of these. I love them. They capture some wonderful footage. This is about all you've got to look at when you're flying it, so it's a little hard to tell where you're going with this, even though they've got wonderful sensors all over them. But I'll tell you this, I'll give you a little hint to what is our first challenge you're going to encounter. This is not my first one of these. So on this little clip, I'm trying to capture some footage of my buddy Clint hiking out a deadhead that he'd found, and I learned a little lesson about flying drones. Number one, make sure you always update your software before you get into the remote mountains of Idaho, because that can cost you in your cell phone not being able to communicate with the drone. Whoops. If you get a drone, there's a lot of wonderful flight modes and filming modes that are offered in each one. So I'm going to give you a little hint here. If you get a DJI, which is the most common one, they offer an Academy learning module within the app. I would suggest taking it. You can learn about this mode, which is called Circle, Helix, Droney, Boomerang, Asteroid, loads of different modes. All great, but it's best if you take that class first. Wow, just look at that turkey footage. That is an excellent cameraman. Okay, I'm actually the guy behind the camera. I was feeling a little like that morning. I was feeling pretty proud about how good I was doing it, capturing some excellent footage here, but I think that transferred over into how I chose to fly the drone next. You see, drones like the one I'm flying have some sensors on them, but you can disable those, thinking that, you know, I'm good enough. I'll just fly this thing through the trees. Yeah, that didn't work. Okay, so I have crashed my fair share of drones over the years. That's definitely true, but I don't want to only show you the negatives. See, flying drones produces some great footage. Recording deer, they often run from it. They'll look at it peculiar. You can be out flying it, and even birds of prey might think it's something to eat, so they fly right by it, like this hawk does right here. Can't believe how close he came to it. There's also been opportunities where I've been able to film right over the top of alligator down in Florida. I'll never forget this one. Look at this alligator that literally comes out of the water at the drone as if he's going to come and bite it. Wow.
A lesson in athlenomics.
You get what you pay for, right? Well, that's not always the case. Take these big name binoculars and these Athlon Midas G2s. They have virtually identical features and perform equally even in low light conditions. If you want to pay for a name, that's up to you. Me, I'll buy an Athlon and save 200 bucks.
Athlon Optics. Ridiculously good optics at a ridiculously good price.
Your hunting location is unlike any other. The smells, sights, and sounds could never be replicated by a chemical or produced in a factory. The only way to not stand out here is to blend in. Scent Blender is the industry's first site-specific cover scent system. Create your own scents by gathering native plant material, blending with water, and spraying your gear. Stop coating yourself with mass-produced chemicals and start harnessing the native aromas of your exact location. Scent Blender. Blend into your environment.
Is he working his way our way or what? I'm gonna get him and one doe on the road. I'm gonna get back on the binos.
Dropped him in his tracks.
For our next challenge with videography, we're going to take you back to our episode 3 of last season, where we did a lot of video on a mule deer hunt of mine as well as my daughter's. Now, what you didn't get to see, which I really wanted to show you, was my first ever, that's right, my first ever whitetail buck with a bow. Now that my daughter got her mule deer buck on the ground, it was time to focus on myself. Now we're after my first ever buck with a bow, also first ever one in velvet, but we're going to have to go through the challenge of self-filming. Now I've shot several whitetail before, but this was my first buck with a bow, and the reason we didn't show it on this episode, well, you're going to see. I had a very small window to shoot through on our unique tower blind, and unfortunately I was trying to both shoot my bow through this little window and the camera view, so you don't really get to see all that much of the buck and the kill shot. Now if you watch really closely, this buck's going to turn and stop just in the wrong spot, and you might just barely catch a glimpse of that red lighted knock as it impacts both lungs. Now the lesson learned here is to make certain of where your camera is pointing before the actual shot, and this could have been resolved a couple ways. One is to make sure that you just zoom out, capture more of the overall area when the shot takes place. Don't zoom in, especially when self-filming. And then secondly, I guess it could have been resolved by just asking somebody else to film. Even my daughter probably could have captured it better than I did. Now our next lesson in videography has to do with stability. They make camera tree arms for when you're in tree stands, use tripods when you're in a tower blind or a ground blind. They even have a shoulder harness that you can use when walking in situations like what you're watching. However, a little shake doesn't really hurt too much. It's when you're actually filming the kill shot that you will see so many amateurs tend to not actually have stability, and you're making your viewers almost seasick with how much shake we get. We'll just go ahead and show you an example from an earlier hunt when we first started the show with Mark and his son when they went out to the Midwest on some doe hunting. To further illustrate this, we figured we'd show you what editing programs can do to stabilize such footage. It's not much, but it does help a little bit. You can see the stabilized footage on the right, the raw footage on the left. It's best to use something to stabilize those cameras, folks. Now our next lesson can be really an equipment mistake more than anything. Some cameras offer only automatic focus, some offer manual. When hunting through cover and timber and brush and such, you're really going to need a manual focus. Hopefully your camera comes equipped with a manual option, and if it does, you will likely find it on the side with a switch or a button that toggles between the auto and manual options. You will also likely find a focus ring out near the lens end of the camera. However, if you don't have either of those and all you have is an auto, what you'll want to do is focus in on something at the same distance from you to the animal, say up on the trees, maybe out to the side, and then slowly pan your camera over to the animal, and hopefully as it crosses that debris or that footage in the way, it will not focus on it. That's about the best option you have when only using auto. You know, it's rather unfortunate in instances like this one here where the autofocus just seemed to take over, and of course the doe won't be captured in focus for the kill shot. His math is awesome.
Athlon, ridiculously good optics.
Alright, in this segment we're going to talk about the camera challenge that comes with filming second angles. Let's be honest, the GoPros, the Tacticams are wonderful little pieces of equipment, but they present some challenges in themselves. Many times you can rotate them wrong, they film at an angle such as this Tacticam. Other times you just really can't tell depth and distance very well with them. And then lastly, please don't ever try to film an entire hunt off of a GoPro. It just doesn't work. This right here is an example of why not to film an entire hunt with a GoPro. Frankly, I cannot tell what it is we're shooting at here. Okay, I'm going to show you some footage of a whitetail buck I took in Kansas, my first ever with a crossbow. However, the main camera had failed, so the only footage I captured it on was this GoPro. And as you can see, really not good clarity. Okay, so just to prove a point here, I know you might be thinking we can fix anything in post-production, but this is the same footage, zoomed in as tight as we can make it, and look, it just kind of pixelates. It frankly gets worse. Just don't do it. Well, let's look at a really positive experience I did have with a GoPro when I set it on this ladder, hoping to catch the backside of the bear from my vantage point from the tree stand. The goal was, of course, to see if I could capture the arrow blowing through it. He's got to get in just the right position here, but frankly, one of my most fun uses of a GoPro ever. Okay, so our last camera lessons are going to have to do with missed opportunities. Here's why I say it that way. It covers so many different angles. Sometimes the cameraman sets up in a ground blind and can't see out the same window, get the same vantage point as the hunter, and they can't capture the footage. Sometimes you just have equipment failure, but overall, some of this stuff results in a missed opportunity at harvesting an animal because you're trying to get it on film. If that's something you're going to have a problem with, you may want to start reconsidering whether or not you want to film your own hunts. Tough lesson. Now, this first piece of footage took place years ago in Kansas while I was hunting this whitetail you see on film. I experienced several missed opportunities on this hunt. The first of which was what I would call camera creep. If you set your tripod up unlevel, what you can have happen is your camera leans one way and slowly just creeps away from the animal, causing you to not actually capture the animal in film. The way you can prevent this, obviously, is set your tripod up level, number one. Secondly, most fluid heads that the camera's mounted on have what they call a little set screw or something on the side that tightens it down. That'll prevent it from having camera creep. The second missed opportunity on this hunt took place when my camera just flat out failed. Now, this took place because the batteries just wore out in the cold. This happens in usually sub-freezing temperatures, and in this case, it cut out literally right as I pulled the trigger.
So we're going to do a recovery on my Grizz. Things happened so fast, we did not get the kill shot on there. So we walked over 12 hours to get to this cabin, and after being here 5 hours, this mature boar walked out and 300 yards away, put the whammy on him. Meredith rifle, Athlon optics. Absolutely incredible opportunity. It's just been the greatest hunt ever. This is my bucket list animal.
This was the perfect example of what we're trying to show with missed opportunities. As the viewer at home, did you enjoy watching this hunt? Or would you have rather seen the actual kill shot? See, look, that kind of answers the question right there. Could you film your own hunts and miss opportunities like this? I think Mark answered the question. He's not going to miss out on an opportunity like this. We're going home with a grizzly.
Are you one of those people that has to know how everything works? With my iPhone, I can't figure out how everything works. I can't understand how I can call somebody and talk into this box, and my voice waves just go into this little box and then shoot across the universe and then go into somebody else's phone and they can understand what I'm saying. I got to be honest, I can't tell you how everything works. But if you're one of those people that wants to know how the most important thing in the universe works, then you ought to come and visit Grace Point Baptist Church, because Grace Point doesn't have answers maybe about your cell phone, and as a pastor, I really can't figure all this out. But I can tell you somebody who does, and I can introduce you to somebody who does know how everything works, and that's the God of this universe. And we would love to introduce you to him at 5415 Valley Station Road. Maybe you need to reconnect with the church, maybe you need to reconnect with the Lord, or maybe you need to connect for the first time. Grace Point Baptist Church will be the place for you to figure out how really the most important thing in this universe works, and that is how God has saved us. Connect to him, Grace Point Baptist Church.
Today, we're talking about Athlonomics. It's a simple idea that when you buy Athlon optics, your dollar goes further. But who is it made for? Seasoned hunters? Competitive shooters? What about outdoor enthusiasts? It's all of the above. Athlon designs optics with you and your wallet in mind. Choose Athlon to see the clear difference for yourself.
The most challenging missed opportunity I've ever faced has been about mule deer. There was a time where I had one in front of me, could have shot it, but my guide I asked to operate the camera did not actually turn the camera on. So I turned to him in my haste and tried to get the camera going. Of course, I couldn't fast enough, and I had to watch the mule deer run off. It's not really the guide's fault, to be quite honest. He's used to guiding, not filming. Another one of my greatest missed opportunities happened on a Sika deer hunt where I finally connected with a stag. My cameraman actually thought that he was out of space on the memory when there's actually 2 SD cards, but because the camera did not automatically switch between the two and he didn't know how to switch to the backup one, the actual kill shot went unrecorded. Now, we do get the recovery video on film though. By this point, I've been watching this little spike stag in front of me for about the last 15 minutes. Though it's the first shootable stag within bow range that I've had, I chose to wait for something much larger. Now, Sika make a great, unique sound in the woods. It's almost like a scream, and if you listen closely, you're going to hear the one that I shoot screaming before he comes in, even though we don't get him recorded.
Yes! Woo-hoo-hoo! Look at that baby.
There's your arrow.
You found the arrow?
Yeah, right here.
Oh, it's like pointing down.
He ran into this. He knocked that arrow.
Look at this, folks. There's the 3 on the one side I saw.
That's perfect.
Oh, man. Yes. Oh, man, I'm telling you, folks. It's been a long time coming. And
Perfect. That's perfect.
right now, they're just screaming in the background, folks. These are some of the coolest animals that exist free-ranging on our eastern coast of this nation.
What a great episode where we got to showcase some of the challenges of filming. You know, challenges are meant to be overcome. I think for many of us, we just hear that there's the challenge, there's the difficulty right there, there's no way out. Man says, you can't beat this. But in some instances, even the greatest of challenges, it's been said, there is one way out. And many of us, we won't argue. We go, okay, I see it. I'll go that way out. But we tell all of mankind that there is only one way out of sin, and that is through Jesus Christ. And it's a whole different story. It's as if, no, wait a minute. There are several different ways. You could believe this way, you could believe this way. No, the Bible makes it very clear. It's very exclusive. There's only one way. He says, I am the way. Jesus says, I am that way. He is the resurrection, the life. He is the truth. He is the way to life everlasting. Do you know him? You know, it says in the Bible also that if you believe on the Lord Jesus Christ, you will be saved. I pray today that you will indeed believe on him. Challenges with filming, challenges in life, they are meant to be overcome. Many of us are going to try to do it on our own or use the wisdom of man to do so. I implore you to please turn to Christ. He is that answer to the most gravest of circumstances and challenges in life, which is what's going to happen when you die. Well, Christ has that answer, and that is you can go to heaven. You can know that way out, which is Jesus Christ. He loves you. He wants to heal you. He wants to help you. He wants to move and work and serve alongside with you in this life. Will you receive him? Go to the website at the bottom of your page and contact us. We'd love to help you do just that. Well, we hope you've enjoyed this episode on challenges. We look forward to seeing you next week.